And we are live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Welcome to the Morning Poop with Joel Huxley, JNW. Five days. Five days. In 5 days, we will know exactly who's going to lead the state of Florida. We're going to know who's going to control the Senate. We're going to know who's going to control the House. And we're going to know the pulse of the people. Now, in Orlando, there are two ballot amendments, there's ballot initiatives. One is a tax increase, and the other, was rent stabilization. Because as of yesterday, a court said that it couldn't be on the ballot. So until it's settled law, they won't be counted. But a lot of people already knew. The thing is, the rent stabilization was probably not going to meet the, how do you put this? It wasn't going to meet the legal expectation because it was going to be unconstitutional with the Florida Constitution. That was pretty much where people outside knew it. And when the judge that was reviewing it said, no, I'm not going to take it off the ballot, but it's probably not going to make it into law. So let's keep it on the ballot. Let the people have a voice. Have a dialogue. So that's what we do. We love to create dialogue. So I just brought that up. I brought it up because it's just the fact is rent stabilization. What does that mean? You know, we really, oh shoot, I said I know. We are actually working towards absolute control or absolute freedom. That's really where everybody is. But let's talk a moment about control, right? So we have the right, talking about patriotism, freedom, using these keywords. Never thought in my life that being called a patriot could be an insult until I saw what the Democrats have done. Never thought in my entire life that Republican would be a dirty word. Never. And never thought too much about the other side. I know how it works. I see how it works. I'm going to take these off for a minute because it's distracting me. But I really thought I had an understanding. I thought I had an understanding because I really dug into history. And one of the things that I would always say is the political parties are an absolute. Once they were formed, they were here. They're here to stay. The fact that we only have two parties, two strong parties, more like a two-party system, It's very hard for any other party or any other group to be heard. And everything is designed to keep the voices close together. That's why a political party has a platform. So the platform really is like, okay, whoever's leading the party, hey, this is what we expect. So I find that, absolutely wonderful. Look, there's a guideline. If you want to see what a Republican stands for, what a Democrat stands for, there's a guideline. Now, do you have to be 100%? No, you don't have to be 100%. That's what beauty is. You don't have to be 100% agreement. But you got to get out and vote. What are you doing? Every single thing is predictable. The Democrats and the young people and all the, radical right, we'll call them. We'll just call it, everybody gets excited about choosing a president or getting rid of a president, or, we had record turnout. President Biden has the largest amount of votes in the history of the presidency. Okay, that I'll go with that, but that's because of energy, excitement, hate. Yes, love trumps hate is just an example of hate. It really is. We can get into details with that, but it's a position just as bad as the hate. Hate goes both ways. I'd rather hate somebody than not care about somebody. Because apathy, absolutely is the most horrendous thing. I want to remember you when you die. I want to pass on your memory. I want to care about you. I'd like to kind of want to stay with some accuracy. Um, now I'm a big Lincoln fan. Abraham Lincoln, absolutely an amazing individual at the grassroots level. I mean, he educated himself for a law degree. He's a tall man. You get to read his history and you get to know about him, and he never won. He was a winner that never won. When he finally did win, it was because, hey, we were on the brink of a national emergency. A national emergency that was the Civil War. So you look at Abraham Lincoln and you see what he does. And you go, he's the leader. He's the first Republican president of the United States. And at the time, we weren't even united because we had secession. And the reason I bring that up is because, look, excitement, presidents, wow. They changed the course of history. Do they? Yes. In 1913, hold on, going out of my mind, so it could be pretty sure I got that right. So 1913, I believe, is when 3 of the worst amendments to the Constitution were implemented. The Federal Reserve, or the federal income tax. Let me move on. I could bore you, but Lincoln takes actions that are not typical to what you would envision a Republican. Republican is about local government. Local government is the most important government. So somebody like myself who says, hey, you know, the worst thing that ever happened to the Constitution was we allowed a popular vote for our senators. We should have kept that in the legislature. And by doing that, we would have kept individuals, citizens, connected to their local government. Because think about it, today, we undervote the bottom of the ticket. We undervote it because, heck, I don't know who this person is, or you don't even know what the job is. You know, how many people know that the Florida State House meets for 3 months? You hear about them emergency sessions. Why do they have emergency sessions? What's an emergency session? Because something isn't done and we need you up here to do something. I mean, local government, they're all different, but they're all the same. That's a crazy way to put it, but North Carolina, their legislature meets once every 2 years. Now, I'm sure, you know, that goes over well when a Democrat takes over and you have a House that's Republican, and you're not going to meet. You're going to meet, get all your business done, and leave. I don't want to get into, you know, each state's laws. I mean, those are just two that are on the top of my head. Like the Constitution. Now, every single government has a constitution, a governing document. Even a city has a charter. What is a charter? A charter, well, that's the rules that's set forth by the government. And you get a review board. So they review it and they say, hey, let's do this. And they add it to the charter. For example, in Orange County, the majority, democracy, the majority said, we would like to have our constitutional officers, we just want them to be nonpartisan races. We don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. We want them to be nonpartisan. We don't want to know their party affiliation. This way, we will look at them closer, we'll listen to them more intensely, and we're going to get the right choice. And that's what, you know, a nonpartisan race is supposed to do. But does it really do that? No, because the parties, again, they get very involved. It's very seldom in the newspapers. I mean, they're quick to tell you what party a nonpartisan is. It's like, ooh, that's a Republican. There's 2 Republicans in this race and only 1 Democrat. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for identifying who's who, because we didn't care. We wanted nonpartisan. But what I'm getting at is we asked for this, and we didn't get it. Why? Because another constitution, our charter, got overruled by a higher government. That's how it's supposed to work. So the Constitution is the ultimate. It is the ground. It's the rock that the United States of America is built on. Okay. I believe that wholeheartedly. And it is a document that is, I can say it's a living document and not mean what other people have said about a living document. It's a living document because we, the people, have every right in several ways to amend the Constitution. We do. We can have a constitutional convention. You know, there were 12. Now I know you all know the first 10 amendments are called the Bill of Rights. But the Bill of Rights was much bigger, like two. There were two amendments more. So it's 12. So, but the Bill of Rights is 10 because that's what was adopted. Those are the amendments that we accepted as a nation. Two of them we didn't. One of them is the newest. It's on you. If you want to know what the 11th one was, Boehner was Speaker of the House when this amendment passed. So now the newest amendment that we want to talk about is the Equal Rights Amendment, which I won't get into this morning because the morning poop doesn't need to go down that road. And the Supreme Court now is looking at affirmative action, which when I was younger, I said is always going to find its way back into the courts. Because there is no way that affirmative action can continue as we become a more mixed, a more diverse community. And in my book, I talk about fair and equal. What is equal? What is fair? You know, you got to get there. You got to get there. I need to stop saying I know. It's driving me crazy. We, the people, have the right to change our Constitution. When we have a majority of governors in every single state, you would wonder why we wouldn't be strong enough to force something on our Congress and on our president and say, this is what we want. We want a change to the Constitution. Now, I watch these things and I'm going all over the place. And eventually you'll start to see that it'll all come together. And in 30 minutes, I can't do that. But every morning I think. And it's the most important part of the day is the morning because, hey, you're fresh. Those ideas are fresh. My ideas are different. They're different from Republicans. They're different from Democrats. They lean more towards the Republican Party. At least the Republican Party I know. I don't want to say love my party. I really had a lot of respect for my party. I had an understanding of where my party was and where it was going. I understood what the party makeup was. I understood that we wanted lower taxes. Everybody wants lower taxes because you should be able to spend your money the way you see fit. You should be able to invest in those charities, in those functions that you want to be involved in. It's not the government's responsibility to pay for the arts. All those people that enjoy art, they could be putting money into the arts. But since they're, paying taxes at this level, I'm probably going to pay for things that aren't in my entertainment category of my budget. And I'm just talking nonsense right this second because I just think that you can make a better judgment call for yourself than have the government make every single call. Now, the First Amendment to the Constitution. I often say, is it really freedom of speech? So next week we're going to know who has been elected. But next week we're going to talk about the First Amendment. When we talk about the Second Amendment, we're going to focus on the First and Second Amendment because when I was younger, I always believed there would never be a day that Democrats didn't defend freedom of speech all the way to the grave. And yet today, I see Democrats absolutely wanting to silence free speech. They want to silence anything that's offensive. They want to dictate what we should do, what we should know. They want to control every aspect of speech. And it all started when Democrats decided that we had to go after hate speech. I'm not a fan of hate speech. I am not going to advocate hate speech. But my Constitution defends it. My Constitution defends the individual who wants to burn my flag. My Constitution protects crazy ideas. So you can have your conspiracy theories if you want to. You can just about do anything. You can write a book. The book can be totally untrue. As long as you don't perjure somebody, plagiarize somebody. I mean, those are against the law. You know, a public official, right? This is the public official. When you put yourself out in the public for ridicule, you better be ready because you become a public figure in a certain place, like politics or wherever you put yourself, you are open game on that. They have to show malice. Now, the only reason I'm saying that is because that's where we're going to focus. We're going to focus on who's defending our Constitution from us. Well, the fact that we're so divided, I don't believe we could even get an amendment passed. That's my personal belief. And then we look at the Second Amendment. We're going to look at the Second Amendment because it's always been under attack by the Democratic Party. And the Democrat Party has always attacked it itty bitty tiny steps. That's what they consider it because it's too big to go after. So Ronald Reagan was shot. He could have died. Okay, his press secretary, Brady, was hit in the head. It's a sorry thing that happened. And it was absolutely because of mental health. We have stalking laws. Stalking laws could have been applied to this because, we'll talk about that at a different time too. But a Second Amendment would be attacked under his name with the banning of assault weapons. Or at least that's a term, big bore guns, however you want to talk about it. I do not see any reason other than the Second Amendment to own an AR-15. That's what I said. The only reason to own one is the Second Amendment. And we're going to get very in depth with that. Because I cannot buy a tank. I cannot buy a Stinger missile. I'm not a government. I can't buy that. Hawk missiles. I was in a Hawk missile battalion. To read about the Hawk missile being sent over to Ukraine by the president without any approval from Congress, because we give that kind of power, is an interesting read. Because the Patriot missile replaced the Hawk missile. When I was in combat, the Hawk unit and the Patriot unit worked in conjunction for two different focuses. It's an air defense weapon. And we talk about NATO, and look, France has Russian planes, which makes it very difficult when you're working together and you've set your whole system to protect against one nation, that when a MiG is in the air, it's more likely to be the enemy than a friend. But it could be French. So it could be French, and amen, we'll make sure we don't shoot them down. So I am a big fan of the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. But I'm also a big fan of you. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear that you want to shut me up. I want to hear why you want to shut me up. I want to hear what's so bad about somebody coming out and showing their ignorance. Isn't it better? Hey, I know that's an ignorant person. I've seen him on the side of the road. I've seen him with he's a anti-Semite. I know who he is. Because he has a freedom of speech. He came out. And that person exposed themselves. Okay. So you go and you attack speech. What you're going to do is you're going to push them down into the basement. You're going to put them in places you don't want them. Because while they're in those places, they do bad things. Because they get angry. Because they can't express themselves. They get angry. I can't tell you how many times I would hear people say, I'm going to get my psychology degree. Why? Do you think you're going to be a therapist? Is that the case? Or, you just like the degree? I don't know. Well, now they have a class called, hey, let's go gender studies. And that's a good one. There are two genders, but we have a class on gender studies. So we probably, that's sex. We'll talk sex. We talk money. We talk politics. Yeah, we do. and we talk religion. So I'm over my time today. Next week on Thursday, recap a little bit of the election, but big time First and Second Amendment. We're going to really look at the First and Second Amendment. Even if we only get through one, it'll be an awesome conversation. So take your toilet paper and wipe your bum, because the morning poop is done.